G'day ladies and gents, it's your mad mate Yorick again. And for those of you who are a little bit more sensitive than others, yes, I did just assume your genders. So get over it. Actually, that's something I want to talk about. Getting over it. Because when I was a young tacker at school, we were always told, oh, I'm travelling above the speed limit. That's very wrong of me. I was always told, and we were always told, didn't matter who said what to you, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And over the years, I suppose as I got older, you know, like I'm an early 70s model, and as we started coming into the 80s, we started hearing about political correctness. Come on, you silly car driver. Political correctness. You know, oh, you can't say this because it'll upset these people. You can't say that because it'll upset those people. You can't say all sorts of things anymore because it offends people. And all of a sudden, whether you were offended or not became my responsibility. Effectively, I'm being held accountable for other people's inability to control their emotional state. That's always been strange to me. You know, I've never been one to not subject myself to ridicule. And jeez, have a look at my name, god damn it. Gosh darn it. So as not to offend the religious types. You know, have a look at what's going on in the world today, because we have to be so careful of what other people may think about what we have to say. You know, there's this big brouhaha going on at the moment. I don't know whether you're aware or not. I mean, I've got all of, 10 subscribers, and you know what? I am deeply grateful to each and every one of you. The mere fact that there's at least 10 people watching these videos kind of reassures me that I won't need to pay for therapy, because I can keep getting stuff off my chest and people listen to it, and just knowing people are listening is therapy in itself. But there's this big brouhaha going on. There's a guy on the internet called Stephen Crowder. He's a comedian and he leans a little to the right. So when I say right, please refer back to an earlier video that I made about the difference between left and right. You know, I don't want to go on for half an hour explaining the differences again, because he is simply a conservative. Okay? So, in America at least at the moment, what conservatism means is they don't support abortion. They stand behind the president. They wish to leave the Second Amendment, which gives them the right to bear arms against the government that would otherwise be tyrannical. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Right, so he's a conservative. Now, one of the things that this Crowder guy does is put the people on the other side, you know, we'll call them progressives or liberals, and he puts some of them under the microscope for the way they perceive the world, right? Probably one of the best known ones is a channel known as Vox, right? And one of their leading presenters is a guy by the name of Carlos Mazza, who by his own handle, Twitter handle I should say, is openly gay. And the only issue anyone seems to have had with that is Carlos Mazza, because he has basically jumped up and down and created a stink because Stephen Crowder mentioned that he was openly gay. Well, he referred to him as a lispy queer. So, so why am I talking about this now? Well, because we're heading down a very slippery slope. After his complaints and, jumping up and down and carrying on like a two-bob watch to YouTube, YouTube decided to demonetize Stephen Crowder's YouTube account. So, if you have the way it works is if you have enough subscribers, then people want to advertise on your channel, those little banners that end up at the bottom, or videos at the start and finish and things like that, and you can actually make money out of YouTube. Well, clearly I'm not doing that. I've got 10 subscribers. I've had more people than that in my bathroom. But where it gets dangerous is this. Forget that Crowder and Mazza sit on opposite sides of the ideological aisle. YouTube has basically crumbled and cut off Crowder's income, which I'm pretty sure by the time you've got 3 million plus subscribers, the income would be pretty significant. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if you get a cent per view or, don't know, don't care. That's not what's at stake here. That's not the issue. And I think it's a very short game being played by Carlos Mazza and the company he works for called Vox. Because if they can do it to someone like Stephen Crowder for his views, who's to say somebody else can't come along and totally rip the rug from underneath them because they hold views that somebody else finds offensive? And where it becomes a real problem is this, and I know people will say, oh, but YouTube's a privately owned company, it can do what it wants. That would be true if, as a privately owned company, it wasn't afforded protections from the government that meant it could not be prosecuted for anything you or I upload here, right? Because whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's any of these platforms, they are protected from prosecution because they're not the ones publishing stuff. And that's a very important word to use. They're not publishers. But as soon as they take a role in censorship, as soon as they put up rules about what can and can't be said, discussed, the ways it can be done. Have a look. Facebook totally shut down a bunch of accounts a couple of weeks ago because the views expressed by some people didn't meet their guidelines. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's a place for fascists. I don't think there's a place for racists. I think in this day and age, surely from a human thinking capacity point of view, we've moved on from there. There's no place for nasty people. There's no place for people who are inciting violence against others. Even if it is Carlos Mazza encouraging people to chuck milkshakes at politicians that they don't like. Yes, it's only it's only a milkshake today, and then someone goes and throws a brick, and then the next thing you know, someone goes and fires a rocket off. It just escalates into, you know, there's a downward spiral, and it doesn't end well for anybody. This is the thing we have to be careful of. If these platforms are going to take on the responsibility of censorship, they need to think long and hard about what it is. I mean, I know there's a lot of commentators talking about this, and it's about, oh, the left is winning and the right's with this. I'm not so sure that's the biggest concern. The biggest concern is, well, have a look, they've got dancing waiters there. Well, you don't see that every day. So yeah, the danger is that anyone can be shut down for just saying stuff, and that's just wrong. I am not responsible for how you perceive yourself or where you think your place in the world may be, and if you're upset because of where I see you, well, that's a you problem. I don't think Vox and this Mazza fella have done themselves any favours at all, because at some point someone will push a YouTube or a Facebook or a Twitter to cut them off at the knees, and whether it's Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. I don't even know what all these things are. Apparently I'm a real Luddite because I only know about Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Apparently there's a whole bunch of other ones that, you know, the trendy people are using, but they're still the biggest. You know, they're still, I don't know whether they're the best, because everyone's so quick these days to talk about social justice. What we really need is to make sure that there is natural justice, and natural justice says, geez, I'm having trouble tonight. Natural justice says, I may not like what you have to say, but I will defend your right to say it. And here's an example, a little bit closer to home. I got a call during the week. My younger son, who's 16 years old, has been giving one of the older boys at school, who's almost 18 and therefore soon to legally be deemed an adult, giving him a hard time about his girlfriend. You know, he apparently made a comment like, geez, it's amazing to see you at this end of the building. I didn't realise your leash was that long. You know, I'm surprised she hasn't put a bell around your neck yet to make sure she knows where you are at all times. You know, just stuff like that. The sort of stuff blokes will have a crack at other blokes about. So anyway, this soon-to-be adult goes and has a whinge to the headmaster about it. So the headmaster sits my young bloke down and has a chat to him about his behaviour, and then for some reason felt obliged to call me about it. To which I replied, so what? You know, his older brother has a girlfriend, his older brother gets heaps hung on him. You know, his brother isn't a protected species. Why am I going to do anything about someone else's kid? And this guy went on to explain to me that, well, you know, he's a very sensitive kind of guy, is this, is that. Once again, I don't care. Now, does this make me an asshole? I don't know. But I know what it has done, and that is it has built a sense of resilience and confidence in my kids, so they're not going to run off to a headmaster or anybody else when someone throws a little bit of derision their way. There's just no need for it. So it'll be interesting to see how this Mazza Vox thing plays out. because honestly, I think Vox are the ones that should be told to STFU, pull their heads in, and play the game like men. Expect is that he conduct himself as an adult should, not a whiny little primary school child, which is what this behaviour is. Oh, I don't like what you have to say, so I'm going to go out of my way to destroy you financially. That's just not right. You know, whether they're comedians, whether they're journalists, whether they're, you know, just blokes down at the pub having a chat. If you build up a channel with, I don't know how many, I think it's got nearly 6 million subscribers, maybe more, maybe less, don't know. That's how much research I've done. But you're kind of putting yourself out there for criticism. Okay? You're going to be putting, and it doesn't matter who it is. You know, whether you're a local councillor or a federal politician, doesn't really matter. Not everybody is going to agree with you or like you all the time. And you guys need to keep that in mind. You know, next time someone's hanging shit on you, or taking the piss out of you, or having a crack, whatever you want to call it, you know, cop it on the chin, be big boys and girls, and play on. So that's it from me. Sorry about the constant ramblings. One day I might just actually talk about something interesting. But in the meantime, you never know your luck. Subscribe and hit that bell thingy so next time I put a video up, you get first dibs at it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk about something else next time. Ciao. I don't even know. Power Street City. Let's go there.